What's up, world? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, leave a comment and share the video. Hey, today I want to talk about this report, this Georgetown report, about saying by the age of 35, workers with advanced degrees as likely as high school diploma holders to have a good job. I get this off the essence.com website. I'll leave the link in the description box. But I also want to look at the actual report, not necessarily the actual report, but a more detailed summary of the report here in a second. But I'm going to leave with this essence just to see how they reported and then how the actual report came out. It say a new report by Georgetown University has delved into the value of post-secondary education in an evolving labor force. This say for generations, advanced degrees have been touted as a golden ticket to a higher quality of life. But according to two new reports by Georgetown University Center of Education and the Workforce, good jobs are harder to come by even if you have the degree letter behind your name. Both funded by J.P. Chase. Boy, the banks, y'all gotta be paying attention to these banks because these son of guns are a part of everything. And the last 3 stories that are done got something to do with J.P. Morgan or Wells Fargo. Anyway, both funded by J.P. Chase. The report take a look at how economic stability has evolved from cross-generationality. In the second report, how racial and gender bias impedes progress towards good jobs, reveals insights about opportunity gaps among demographic groups over years. The report points out that older baby boomers were able to secure high-paying, stable jobs in their mid-20s, but most older millennials did not reach this stage until their early 30s, which I believe it. Well, let me keep reading. College costs have risen dramatically, just as post-secondary education has become key to finding a good job. Lead report author and CEW director Anthony P. Carnevale said in a news release, "We need to improve access to college, work-based learning programs, and career counseling for young people." Yeah, colleges cost too much now. It costs so much that you can have a good job and still not make no money because you're paying back these outrageous student loans. Let's continue. As the report outlines, times have presented different barriers for younger generations to secure their financial future. Young adults are required to have more education and high quality work experience than older generations. But the cost of education has tripled over the last 4 years. I remember back in the day, somebody could drop out of school and work at McDonald's and work their way up to a manager. And then they come out talking about they want you to have a college degree. Well, no, they didn't say you have to have a high school diploma, which makes sense. You got to have some kind of basic understanding of life. Of money and talking to people and stuff like that. But then they start saying you got to have like college degrees for some of these jobs. And then some of these jobs they want you to have college degrees for. They only want to pay you. I've seen like $17, $18, $21 an hour to get a 4-year degree when you can be a CNA and make $12, $13, $14, off the rip. So, and you don't even need a degree for nothing for that. So, it's like I say, it's man, it done got bad. Heightened costs for education can cause delayed entry into the workforce, which poses several severe consequences to overall quality of life over time. It said there are consequences to delay transition to good jobs, said Autumn Gullish, report author and CEO with CEW Senior Policy Strategy and Research Facility in a news release. For many young adults, not having a good job means not being able to buy a house, not being able to pay back their student loans, and not having sufficient financial security to pursue their aspirations while facing life's inevitable mishaps. Man, this is it's a sad case because you look at it now, student loans, and people are sitting here hoping, praying, wishing that Biden, kills off $10,000 with student loans. But most people probably got anywhere from $50,000 on up, around, give or take a few thousand. But hey, $10,000 help. I'll tell you like this: I got student loans, and yeah, what I love to see they get wiped off. Yeah, I would love to see that, but I'm not going to depend on or count on the government to do it, and I wouldn't expect them to do it because I don't care what nobody really says. I mean, everybody, you knew what you was getting into. Now, now you knew you was taking a loan out, so you knew you had to pay it back. That's just basics. That's just basic. That's just bottom line. Now, whether you understand how interest works, if you didn't, read the fine print, didn't take the class, or didn't pay attention in the class, you should have like student loan class. You actually have to go up to the school, and someone would talk to you about student loans and how they work and paying them off. Then they put the stuff online. So, people stuff online, you put stuff online, people ain't gonna pay attention to that. Hell, I know I didn't. But again, I understand how interest rates work and stuff like that, compound interest and things like that. So I mean, shoot, you gotta pay it. You gotta eventually pay it. No matter what, even like with credit cards. You may not sit there and read the whole document, but it's there. So if you didn't understand what you was reading, then you shouldn't have took the loan out. Or you should have got somebody who could understand and break it down for you. But you didn't do it. And so now you gotta pay, you gotta suffer the consequences. But like I said, I mean, I would love it. I love all my debt to be wiped out. But again, I know what I'd signed up for, and I took the risk thinking that things were gonna be okay, and they're not. You know what I'm saying? It's all, you thought it was, and you guessed, and we guessed wrong. So now you gotta pay it back. And I mean, but it is kind of jacked up that it takes so many years for it to be paid back. But hey, it is what it is. It is the set to practice. But hell, what ain't in this world? But I'm looking at this story here on this GlobeNewsWire.com, and it says by age 35, workers with a bachelor's degree or higher are almost twice as likely as workers with only a high school diploma to have a good job, Georgetown University report says. Now, see, that's kind of worded differently than on Essence, because Essence made it seem like if you got a college degree, you have a good job, just like a person who just got a high school diploma. You feel me? It says the pathway to adult economic independence differs by race, class, and gender, compounding inequality in good jobs and wealth accumulation. It says as post-secondary education has become more valuable in the labor market, the pathway to a good job has become longer and more challenging for young adults to navigate. The majority of older baby boomers were able to latch on to good jobs in their mid-20s, but most older millennials did not reach this threshold until their early 30s, according to the two new reports. Let's see, I already said that. Only young workers with a bachelor's degree or higher are consistently more likely than those in previous generations to have a good job. One that pays less than $35,000 a year and $57,000 at the median for young workers aged 25 to 35 nationwide. Among older millennials in the labor force, 80% of those with bachelor's degrees or higher had a good job at age 35. So they're saying a good job is from making $35,000 per year to $57,000 between it, and that's for the ages of 25 to 35. Now let me ask you something. Gas is freaking $5 pretty much, for at least $4.50. Hell, I bought a gallon of milk this morning for damn near $7. That was ridiculous. So you telling me that $35,000 per year is a good job in this day and age? Man, you gotta be kidding. Let's see. Compared with, let me go back. Among older millennials in the labor force, 80% of those with a bachelor's degree or higher had a good job at age 35, compared with 56% of those with some college and or associate's degree, 42% of those with only a high school diploma, and 26% of those with less than a high school diploma. Now I can tell you, when a associate's degree, depending on what it is, like in nursing, now they want nurses to have bachelor's degrees because they want, these hospitals do, because they want to get this magnet status for the for the facility and stuff. So they want everybody to have bachelor's degrees or what have you. So as a associate's degree, it's almost become obsolete. They're trying to weed out the people, but it's like schooling don't mean nothing. I've seen people go to school 4 years, be a top student, great student, then get out here in this workforce, get out here in this hospital and mess around and quit because they can't handle it. She was like, I don't want to hear now. So I mean, them books is good, but they ain't like experience, man. Let's say to secure a good job, young adults need to acquire more education and a high quality work experience. That's the key to me. It's a work experience than was necessary for previous generations. However, since 1980, the annual cost of attendance at four-year institutions has roughly tripled, reaching nearly 30,000 in recent years. And although work-based learning has the potential to improve young people's transition in the workforce, few young adults, 31%, have completed a work-based learning program. Finally, students are not able to make fully informed decisions about their education and career pathways without sufficient career and guidance counseling, which is true. You need to talk, like I said about the loans, you need to talk to somebody. No matter what you're going to dive into, man, when you're making big decisions, okay, even if you're making small decisions, but when you're making life decisions, you should always talk to someone, like this here, this one said, like a counselor, like a guidance, like a career guidance counselor who can walk you through the steps to what it's going to take to get to where you're trying to get to. Always. Education is always the key. Learn about learning. That's always the key, man. But the student to counselor ratio remains too high. There are almost 70% more students per counselor than the recommended level. It don't matter. You need to try to talk to somebody. If you can't talk to somebody, then you just need to wait. A slow journey to good jobs and long-term consequences for young people's economic well-being include delayed marriage, which that was a big story not too long ago. Childbirth, independent living, and home ownership. Yeah, when people get these college loans, these student loans are getting this debt. Hell, they can't, you know what I'm saying, with this inflation, they can't afford stuff now. Used to be able, you can come out of high school and start a family. You know what I'm saying? And y'all can grow or come out of, get you a little old degree and start your family, and be financially stable. But now you can't, it's hard, man. It's hard to do it. It's only getting worse. They say households led by 35-year-olds have less than 2/3 of the net worth that similar households held 20 years earlier. I'll be damned. Furthermore, the share of young households with educational debt and the median debt among those households have risen substantially in past decades. Black African American women are most likely to take out student loans and hold the most student loan debt among major race, ethnicity, and gender groups, which contributes to tremendous racial wealth gaps. See, the student loans is like a bill. Shout out to Tone Talks. Student loans like a bill. And it says here, like say, black women, they try to say they're the most educated group, but they're also the largest group to take out student loans, which tells you what? You got all that education, but you got no money. You got nothing to really, technically, you have nothing to show for it because you got all this debt that you're going to have to be paying off for the next however many years. So that's why they, push for, our women to go to school and get these degrees, become independent and don't need no man. It's like, it's always a catch-22, man. Don't never, ever take something that nobody's going to give you nothing for free. Nobody's going to care about you like you will. A lot of times, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. These people think about this stuff. They've been doing this stuff for years. These people are higher educated than you are, been doing this stuff all their life. They know how to play this game. And you just fall right into the trap. I mean, shoot, it's like, now this is a game that you thought, hey, I can take out a student loan and I'll be educated, have my degree in 4 years, don't need no man. Forget all y'all, I ain't getting nobody help. But now you're in debt and now you need help. There are consequences to delayed transition to good jobs, said Artem Gulish. For many young adults, not having a good job may not be able to buy a house. Okay, we already did that. President, what's it say? In fact, it takes, let's see, go back to this. Young white workers are more likely than young black African American workers or young Hispanic Latino workers to have a good job, which is also the case for the earlier generation. In fact, it takes black African American workers until their mid-30s to have roughly the same chances of having a good job as white workers to have by their mid-20s. And young Hispanic and Latino workers do not have the same chances even in their mid-30s as young white workers have in their 20s. And y'all think this stuff ain't racially motivated. Well, I won't say motivated. Y'all think don't have racial implications. You're fooling yourself. Gender gaps also persist despite widespread generational changes in women's educational attainment. Even though young women are more likely to have good jobs than women in their early generation, they are still substantially less likely than young men to have good jobs. These gaps have not closed, even though young women have higher levels of post-secondary education than young men. At every educational level, young women are less likely to have a good job than young men within the same racial ethnic group. Basically telling you, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like I said, they acting like they doing something for you and giving you things, but in reality, man, they ain't giving you nothing. But let me end it here. We'll go down to this last paragraph here, and say factors including academic major, occupation, and working full-time also influence workers' likelihood of having a good job and contribute to equity gaps in the workforce. Among young workers with a bachelor's degree or higher, those who majored in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM, are more likely, 78%, to have good jobs, while young workers who majored in arts, liberal arts, and humanities are least likely, 59%, to have a good job. See that STEM, like stories I bring y'all, telling y'all how Walmart and McDonald's and all these big companies are going, they're going to this AI technology, bringing in these robots to take your jobs. So you have to have IT, you got to have this technical and computer technology, engineering, and mathematics. You got to have all this training, because you pretty soon working in a warehouse is just going to be obsolete. I saw a story not too long ago where it said Walmart are bringing automation to the majority of their distribution centers. They're bringing automation. That means they don't need manual labor. Now, manual labor might work a little faster, but automation is going to be more efficient, and it'll be cheaper. Proficient and efficient, and it'll be more cheaper. And they'll take it going a little slow if they're going to save a whole lot more money. But again, somebody got to run these robots. Somebody got to build these robots. Somebody got to program it, and that's where the STEM comes in at. So that's why you need to train yourself, train your kids in these programs. Like it's summertime now, kids out of school. By now, you should have went online and looked up local classes that they have at your libraries. Libraries have them all the time, or camps, or Salvation Armies, or whatever the case may be. Somebody is teaching this to these kids. So you need to get your kids into it. Stop sitting around, let them play these video games all day in the house and watch TV and doing dumb stuff that ain't helping them out. And then by the time they get your age, they ain't no better than what you are, and actually off worse, because again, inflation done jumped up in the job market. Has changed. And so at the same time, across education levels, young workers in STEM occupations are most likely 83% to have a good job, while young workers in healthcare, support, and food and personal services are least likely 22% to have a good job. Working full-time increases the chance of having a good job. 60% of young full-time workers have a good job, compared to 10% of part-time workers having a good job. And again, their good jobs are $35,000 to $50,000 an hour. Then you go to these stores where you watch these, what you call the red pills community, when they do these videos about how these women want men making these six figures, or or saying that they'll deal with a man that's making $50,000 if he got potential. The way the workforce is going, potential means nothing. You got to be on your grind from day one. Potential and actually doing things are two different things. Like, I'm always moving forward with business, trying to improve my business, getting the business off the ground, trying to get it worldwide. But that's actually doing the work. Go to my regular job during the daytime. Before work, I'm doing something about business. On my lunch break, I'm doing something about business. When I get off of work, on my way home and at home before I go to sleep, I'm trying to do something pertaining to my business. That's actually putting in work. potential is somebody who have a bunch of ideas and never act on them. So when women say that they'll deal with a guy with potential, they fooling themselves and they just lying. Well, actually, they just lying to themselves because nowadays potential means nothing. The way the world is going, and you see it every day, potential gets you nowhere. You got to actually be making moves because you're gonna be left behind. Period. But anyway, that's all I got for this story here, man. Tell me what you think about this story and leave your comments below, and then share it with the world. And with that being said, I'll leave you with peace, and I'll see you on the other side.